The scope of Twitch.tv has expanded to such a degree that the singular IRL label that they currently use no longer suffices. What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. This is Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. And Twitch, of course, is the incredibly popular video streaming platform that started out solely focused on video game content, people streaming video games to their platform. And that's still the majority of what happens on Twitch. Most of the content that's getting streamed out on Twitch is people playing video games. But there's an increasing amount of people using Twitch to broadcast not games, but content that is completely unrelated to games, and that's really cool. People are using Twitch to do talk shows like yours truly, to do vlogging, to do like live performance of music, for cooking shows, and a gajillion other things, kind of all revolving around this kind of non-video game content. And up until now, all of those things, no matter what they are, from someone playing the piano, to someone doing a cooking show, to someone kind of working out on camera, that's all been lumped under this general IRL section, which stands for in real life. That was the differentiation between video game stuff and then in real life stuff. And that worked when that was relatively small, but now that the kind of creative community of Twitch has expanded and continued to grow, that is no longer sufficing. It's too large of a catch-all. So now, previously when you were streaming content, IRL would just show up as essentially your game when you are playing. And when you're streaming an actual video game, of course, and you go to that page, you see everyone who is streaming that game. So before now, when you go to the IRL page, you're seeing all these kinds of different things. But starting in mid-September, Twitch is expanding this out. And now there won't be a single IRL section. They're going to add a whole bunch of sections that are much more granular to focus on all of these different topics. So these new categories include art, which is like your painting, your drawing on camera, hobbies and crafts, which is you're actually making something, food and drink, whether you are live eating or live cooking, kind of anywhere in between. Music and performing arts, so if you play the piano, if you play the saxophone and you want to share that with the world. Beauty, which would involve things like a stream where you are teaching someone how to put on makeup. Science and technology, which is where you'll find things discussing robotics, or you might find people live developing video games. A category for just chatting, if you want to just talk to your viewers. Travel and outdoors, so you'll definitely see a lot of people who are kind of live moving around the city and streaming Twitch from their cell phones and going to different restaurants and stuff. Sports and fitness, which is the aforementioned someone wants to work out or lead a like yoga class or something like that on Twitch. One that I'm really excited about, tabletop RPGs, which is going to focus on people playing non-digital games. So a camera pointed at a table as they are playing kind of these tabletop RPGs. Special events, which is basically going to be conventions, so stuff like TwitchCon and things like that, where you can see all the content happening at those conventions. And then finally, they're expanding out talk shows and podcasts. So talk shows is already a category, but they're tossing in podcasts to make that a little bit more representative of what happens in that category. And then there's one more, which is a little weird, and that's ASMR. ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And if it's something that you've never heard of, basically this is when someone's voice gives you a tingly feeling. Yeah, that's kind of a weird one to kind of split out on its own, but maybe there's a huge community for that on Twitch, and I'm just not aware. Nonetheless, I think that this is a really cool thing overall because it's going to let a lot of people more easily find things that are relevant to their interests, and it's going to let someone streaming one of these kind of more specific categories to rise higher in the rankings because now they're only competing with people that are doing the same things as them. Before, if I was trying to do a cooking show on Twitch, I had to compete with everyone who was doing IRL. So anyone who was just sitting on the camera talking to their viewers, anything like that. But now I will only compete with other people who are doing kind of food-inspired shows, and someone who's looking for specifically that can more easily find me. So perfect, that's really awesome, splitting these things up into more granular categories. Hopefully this will also, from a viewer's perspective, help to surface smaller, more positive communities that you can join on Twitch as well. This is far superior to trying to join in with some of the larger Twitch channel communities, because, you know, that really comes down to Twitch's kind of biggest problem that they have, which is their kind of inherent toxicity in their community as a large. Twitch is a lot like Reddit, where, you know, the community as a whole, so the general perception of the website, can get a very bad rap because they're toxic, because they're, in general, not very nice. But if you look hard enough, kind of on both sites, you'll find smaller communities within the larger community that are completely different than some of the larger channels or the larger subreddits. They are, you know, fun and supportive and places to find actual friends. You just have to do a little digging to be able to find those places. And that's always going to be better, of course, than just shouting random memes into the ether, which is what the larger Twitch channels allow you to do. So any changes to Twitch that's going to surface some of those communities that are actually beneficial for people to join, I think is always a good thing. So again, look for these changes to take effect in mid-September on Twitch. And that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about these Twitch categories. Remember that you can support Pretty Dece via Anchor with a small monetary monthly subscription now. You can do that just like Jessica Rose did, so shout out to Jessica Rose for being the very first listener supporter of Pretty Dece. Any level of support will earn you a shout out here on the podcast, but the $4.99 and $9.99 tiers get you even more cool stuff like stickers and even your very own Pretty Dece patch. You can visit prettydeceshow.com/listener support to get the full details, or you can head straight over to anchor.fm/prettydece to sign up. New episodes of Pretty Dece come out every single weekday at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/prettydeceshow, and at the exact same time on the podcast feed and on the YouTube channel. So wherever you would like to partake of Pretty Dece, you can do so. You can also catch me on social media on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Pretty Dece Show.